Well, you're here because a lot of this, I'm just going to start by introducing myself. My name's Brittany Hepworth. I am a gold ambassador on our team. Our guest speaker today is Dale Mayo, and he is a gold Manbassador. And he is someone who has inspired our journey a lot. We went to go see him during a Super Saturday event, and he was up on stage just telling his story, and I'm going to allow him to tell that to you. And he pointed at my husband and said, "I wish I started when I was your age." And at that time, my husband was very skeptical. That was the first event I ever brought him to, and he wasn't even an ambassador at the time. But seeing this big, wonderful, successful man standing up on stage sharing why he loves Plexus and supporting his wife has really changed so much for us, so much that my husband dove in. Dale, thank you for being here today, and I'd just love for you to just tell us a little bit about your story. Can you tell us how you and Janine got involved with Plexus?
Yeah, my journey started like a lot of men's with my wife found this business through Megan Moore, who is our upline diamond now, and having suffered from chronic pain for about 30 years, she asked me to try the product called Ease. And so that's what I did. And when I say I suffered from chronic pain, I would wake up in the morning and sit on the side of the bed and psych myself up to get out of bed because I hurt so bad. My knees hurt, my hips hurt, my ankles hurt. I just had chronic joint pain. And so she knew I had tried everything over the counter to help with that. So she said, "Here, I want you to try this product called Ease." And I started taking 2 in the morning, 2 in the afternoon, and 2 in the evening. And I did that on a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. And when I woke up Thursday morning, all my discomfort was gone. So I yelled downstairs to Janie and I said, "Janie, what is this stuff?" And she said, "Why? What's the matter?" And I said, "Nothing's the matter." I said, "It's just taking away all my joint discomfort." So that got my attention right away about these products. And at that time, I didn't want to have anything to do with this business. My wife and I had been involved in network marketing before, and we'd been involved in 7 different ones and made some money, lost some money. And what had happened to me is I had lost my dream, and I didn't want to have anything else to do with another network marketing company. But I liked the products because it helped me. So I continued taking them. And Janie, this whole time, is she's building the business and doing her thing. And I didn't want to have anything to do it, but I told her I would support her. So the meeting that you were talking about, I believe, was a open opportunity meeting in April.
Yes, that is exactly what it was.
It serves me right, because that was right after I was trying to go gold at that time. And your husband, bless his heart, just kind of happened to be sitting on the front row there that night. And I'm glad I was out because he was real receptive to what I asked him. And, you know, I asked him, I said, "Imagine yourself." And I believe if I remember right, he told me he was 25.
Yes, he was probably closer to 27, but I was 25.
Okay. So I had asked him that. And if I remember correctly, I even remember saying, "Man, I wish I was 25 when somebody showed me this," because at the time I was 55. Mm-hmm. So anyway, the opportunity is fantastic opportunity. So back to my story, just a little background on me. I work at a Fortune 500 company here in Indianapolis. I already make an emerald income. I've made an emerald income now for 15 years. We live very comfortably. I don't have a need for income. If we've made good money for 15 years, and I have a good nest egg set aside, and that's not the reason. You know, we have a nice house, we have cars. I mean, I don't lack for income, but I don't have my time. My time is what I want back. I work 60 to 80 hours a week right now. So when somebody tells me their reason is I can't do this business because I don't have time, well, that's the reason I'm doing it. So just remember, your excuse is somebody else's reason. So back to the story, right after I saw that the products worked for me, I got on the triplex, and the triplex really, really changed my life. It made me sleep better. I had better bowel movements. I had more energy. I could name a litany of things, but the biggest one for me at age 55 was I'm a workout guy. I work out 4 or 5 times a week. And in about month 6, I started my strength increasing. And the only thing that different was the triplex. So I started, like I said, I kept a logbook of all my workouts. And so I noticed it went up 12%. So that was in 6 months. At 8 months, it went up 15%. Wow. So if you're a workout person and you think these Plexus products are just for getting your body healthy, they do. But when your body is at its premium health condition, you will gain strength if you're a workout person. And I'm not the only one that's happened to. So that was another thing for me that, you know, there again, I didn't want to have anything to do with this business, but that light went off about the products again. You know, these products are the best products in the world. And so that was September, October timeframe. And like I said, I didn't want to have anything to do with this business, but I knew the products were great products. And this whole time I'm sharing these products with people. People are ordering products through me. And, you know, my wife had sponsored me. She said that was just because we could get our products cheaper. I told her that was fine. I didn't care. So this whole time I'm sharing with people, and people are starting to buy products from me. And I thought, well, that was kind of odd, you know, but I was okay with that. I didn't mind that. So fast forward to January, she said there was this thing called Super Saturday in St. Louis. And she said, would you go with me? And I said, yeah. I said, I'll go. As a supportive husband, I'll go support you. So went there with no intention of anything other than going and being with my wife and supporting her. And Emily Roberts and Jen Hawkins were the speakers. Okay. Emily Roberts at the time was 9 months pregnant. She was getting ready to have that baby. And she said, she was telling her story and she pointed right at me. I was sitting on the second row just to the left of her. And she said, I sat right there last year, pointed at me and said, I was all by myself. And she said, I'm standing here on stage as a Sapphire Ambassador a year later. And guys, something inside here, inside of Dale, came on. That dream switch came back on. And, you know, I said at convention, if you guys heard me speak at convention, I was really serious when I told Emily, I said, Emily, I said, I owe you my dream. I said, you've made me dream again. And when you'll hear that in this business, guys, that if you want to, you know, the growth sometimes happens at these functions. So you hear your upline talk about go to convention and go to Super Saturday and go to this and go to that. It's because they want you to me. And I can attest that I'm here today because of what Emily Roberts did for me at that function at Super Saturday. So, you know, I got my dream back. I got all excited. We had a vacation scheduled right after that in January. We went to Florida for a week, and all I could talk about with my wife was this business. And I had, up to this point, I had never looked at the comp plan. And she kept telling me, Dale, this comp plan is better than all the ones we've looked at. And I had looked at, you know, we'd been involved in 7 different network marketing, but I had looked at 28 different comp plans of network marketing businesses. And for some reason, being a numbers person, people thought every time they got involved in one or they looked at one, they would bring it to me and say, I want you to compare this to the best one that you know. Well, people, I can tell you that this one here in Plexus is the best out there. Of all the 29 now that I've looked at, this is the best because they give us 50 cents on every dollar comes back to us. Now, if you're a numbers person, I'm just going to give you one example of that. When you go gold in this business, you have 100 Plexus points. That means you had at least 20 people do $100 worth of volume. That's $2,000 in volume. That's easy math. The average gold makes $1,000. Okay, so that's 50% of what your volume was. And if you climb the ladder on that income chart, it's the same way. So that's just one example. Okay, so that happened to me. That light goes off. I come home. We go to vacation. I come home from vacation. I went silver in 4 days when I got home. And guys, all I did was share my excitement with people. I mean, the first guy I talked to at work went home, told his wife, he said, I don't know what Dale's doing, but I'm doing it because he's excited about it. So that was the first one, you know, and it just happened that way. So, you know, I'm real close this month to going senior gold. So you know, you just keep plugging away and doing what you can within your time frame. And, you know, the three things that I share with people, that what I love about this business is anybody can do it. Number one, it doesn't matter if you're big, little, short, fat. It doesn't matter if you're red, yellow, black, or white. Anybody can do this. It doesn't matter your social economic status. You know, it doesn't matter how much money you make or how much money you don't have. It doesn't matter. It's $34.95 to get started. Anybody can do that. Okay, that's number one. Number two is you can do this in the nooks and crannies of your life. You don't have to have a big block of time to do this business. And, you know, I made a joke at convention about men taking their phone with them to the toilet, because you can do this in that amount of time. One time I went and took my phone into the throne room, did my business, and I contacted 3 people and followed up with 3 people and made a Facebook post in 22 minutes. Okay. So when somebody tells you they don't have time, that's just an excuse. Everybody has 168 hours a week. We spend our time and our money on what we want. So, and the third thing is, you know, this business, we have the right products at the right time and the right marketplace. So, you know, this is a great business. You know, that's pretty much my story. And in a nutshell, I want to thank you guys for having me here today.
Dale, I really appreciate you sharing. And some of those things that you told us today are really impactful. I personally took home with your timeline. You know, because so often we compare our timeline to someone else's, but really it's God's timing. And we all have the same time in the day, you know, so it's what are we prioritizing? You know, right. Another thing that you said is the freedom. You know, you're not yearning for the money, but you're yearning for the freedom. And right. I just really appreciate you being here. I'm going to ask, what advice would you give to someone who's starting this business?
This is what I do to our new people right now. Okay. Yes. I tell them that your first goal is to get your products paid for. You know, that's what I tell my new people. And if they're not wanting to build a business, I still tell them, you know, once you start having success physically, once you start feeling better, I said, I know you got 2 or 3 people that know this, that are having the same issue. So usually I can get a new ambassador, even if they just want to be a wholesale customer, to try to share this with at least our closest friends and family. Okay.
Absolutely.
And we have found over the course of this just business, this short time we've been doing it, that if you give them something to lose, they're less apt to fall off by the wayside and become what's called a white line. Mm-hmm. So, you know, we try to get people right away into something, you know, whether it's, if they're a preferred customer, you know, we try to stay in close contact with them, even more so than an ambassador. Because they, you know, and getting them to follow the chart on how to start the products is huge, because, you know, not everybody suffers die off, but some people are going to suffer die off. And you have to train and coach through that so that they don't think it's, you know, hey, these products are causing side effects. No, they're not side effects, guys. Diarrhea, nausea, slight headache, you know, having a kind of a brain fog feeling lethargic. You know, your urine having a strong odor, or your bowel having a strong odor, or your body having a strong body odor. Those are all signs of die-off. And we have to inform our people that that could happen to them, you know, and it might last 10 days and it might last, you know, 2 months. We just don't know. Everybody's different. So getting the people informed right up front, I have found to be very helpful to getting them started.
Absolutely. I think that is great advice. And then when you were to go, how did Plexus contact you to get involved with convention? Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, the April meeting that I met you guys, mm-hmm. Alec Clark was there. Yeah. And Alec came up to me after the meeting, and you know, he was very cordial and very polite. And Celeste Gwen was there, if you remember.
Yes.
And I guess they didn't ask me there. They went out to dinner afterwards and they had a discussion, and they said, we want Dale to speak. They were talking to Megan Moore, mm-hmm. and they said, we want him to speak somewhere along the line. So ask him if he would be interested in doing that. So, you know, that was a year and 2 months later, you know, when Alec called me, Alec called me convention was the 1st of June. Alec called me about the 1st of May and asked me if I would speak at convention. And I was just, wow. I was like, wow, you want me to, that's a pretty big stage the first time he asked me to speak. And he said, yeah, he said, he said, I just liked what you how you said it, things and how you handled people and everything. So, I told him, yeah. And, it was kind of interesting because when I'm standing backstage getting ready to speak, Tarl Robinson walked up and introduced himself to me. And I said, hi, Tarl. I said, I'm glad to get to meet you. And he goes, Dale, he said, Alec thinks the world of you. He said, can I see your speech? Well, if you don't know me, I don't write things down. I just speak from the heart. And Tarl looked at me kind of funny and he said, you don't have anything wrote down? And I said, Tarl, I said, it's all in here. I said, if it comes out, it's going to be good. That's all I know. I said, because I believe, God has me in this place at this time to do what I'm doing right here. And he said, okay. He said, if you're comfortable with that, I'm comfortable with that. So, that's how that all came about.
That is so cool. I'm glad I asked you because I remember you had such a strong stage presence, so much that it's powerful. So when I knew that you were speaking at convention, I was like, yes, I was telling all the sidelines. I'm like, Dale is incredible. You have to listen to this. So, and then my final question is, what does your DMO look like? What are you doing daily to propel your business?
Well, we had a Zoom call last night on our team, and it's funny that you asked because I really promoted this last night. If you guys haven't seen the IPA sheets that's floating around, you need to see them because it has 5 new contacts at the top, 3 follow-ups at the top. It has, meeting with your group in the middle, your ambassadors, your cold ambassadors, your preferred customers. And when I say cold, the inactives. It has a place for exercise. If you're an exercise person daily, it has your water intake on it. It has taken your products, being a product of the product. And I use those IPA sheets. I'm a Christian. I don't have I don't discard that in any way, or I don't hide it in any way. But I believe God's called me to do this business. And I believe it's my requirement or my obligation to go out and share this with people. So I try to do a minimum of 3 a day as far as new contacts. And then I do my 3 follow-ups every day. I told the guys last night on our Zoom call, all we do in this business is post on Facebook. You make a personal post, a Plexus post, and a motivational post of some sort every day. Do that every day. Contact people and follow up. So you post, contact, follow up, post, contact, follow up, post, contact, follow up. That's how we build this business. And that's what I try to follow. That's Jen Hawkins pretty much made that IPA sheet. Somebody's kind of tweaked it. Yeah. But that's where it's come from, Jen Hawkins and Celeste Wynn. So, I use that IPA sheet, and that stands for income producing activities. And, I believe that if you do that and you're consistent, because one of the things that I try to go silver every month. Okay. I've got 2 new ones this month. I need 1 more for the month. And why do I do that? Megan Moore, our upline diamond, said, Dale, you need to go silver every month. So that's my goal every month, to go silver. Yeah. So if you do that, and all we're doing is we've got a system of duplication. If that's what got them the diamond, then that's what I want to do. Mm-hmm. And we should not try to recreate the wheel, guys. We shouldn't do that. Do what your upline gold here is telling you to do. Your upline senior Ruby, tell them, I'm sure they have a system of duplication that they're following, and that's all I'm doing. Just because I'm a man, and you'll never hear me say that men are different in this business. Actually, I'm kind of hard on the men. I like to have them stand up and tell them that the women are kicking our butt and that kind of thing, because they are. And the only reason the women are doing better than the men is because they tell it more, they share it more. That's the only difference, guys. The guys in this business can do it just like any women can. So. Oh, I love that, Dale. That's awesome. Thank you so much for taking your time to speak with us today. I know I've taken a lot of nuggets home, and I'm sure the rest of everyone has too. Does anyone have any questions for Dale before I let him move along with his day?
I have a question. Dale, can first of all, thank you so much for taking your time with us. But can you tell us women, I think we have one man on here with us today, but can you tell us, when speaking to men, can you give us any tips on maybe how to get their attention better or differently than we do with women?
Well, there again, I don't believe it's any different for men, but just like with the women I talk to, if it's a man or a woman, the first thing that I try to do is I try to find out what their need is. Okay. And usually if you just listen to people, they will tell you what that is. In conversation, I mean, men are no different than women. They're going to say, man, I'm just not sleeping at night, or man, I can't get rid of these nagging headaches, or I have this gut issue, or, or whatever it might be. And I use that as my lead in. Okay. And if they're not receptive to that, then I just keep that relationship going. I become friends with them on Facebook if I'm not already. And one of the things that I purposely do is if I've contacted somebody and they kind of hesitant or whatever, then I will try to make a post on Facebook related to what that person's what their situation was. If it was headaches, if it was IBS, if it was fibromyalgia, we can't use those terms in our posts, but I can make posts about headaches. I can make posts about gut health. I can make posts about, easing discomfort. Mm-hmm. So I will pinpoint my next post toward the person that just turned me down. And I'll do that, within 48 hours of the contact. So that's one thing I do.
I really like that.
I love that. And sounds like you have a great upline, because we all hear the same things. If you're on this team, you've heard everything that he said. And what I love about this business is that it's exactly that. It's duplicatable. That we've all learned the same exact thing. So it doesn't matter what team you're on, you're probably doing the same thing. And it really is a simple concept. The business isn't easy, but the concept is very simple. And so do it, then you will reap the rewards. How long did it take you to go from silver to gold?
I went silver in 4 days. I went gold in a little over. It was like 74 days, 75 days. So 2.5 months.
Okay.
And I've had diamonds tell me that they believe the hardest jump in this business is from silver to gold.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So I don't, all I can do is follow what they tell me. And my goal is, and I don't know if you guys are numbers people, but I'm a numbers person. So when I hear numbers, or when I'm around diamonds, I kind of embarrass my wife sometimes, but I'll ask questions. I've asked almost every diamond that I've come in contact with, how many have you personally sponsored? Okay. And the average is 42. Of all the diamonds, after convention, I had 57 jewels ask me to be friends with them. And one of the things I ask them is, how many have you personally sponsored? So if they've sponsored 42 and went diamond, I'm going to 42, guys. I mean, it just makes sense. If that's the average, that's what I want to do. So, that's just me.
I love that. Anybody else have some questions? I could ask questions all day long. What do y'all want to know? Kareem, our gentleman on the call.
I'm on no time restraint. If you guys got more questions, ask them.
Okay, great.
Hi, Ainsley.
Hi.
So, all right. Well, if anyone doesn't have any questions.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I was waiting for him to unmute because I thought he was going to ask a question. I said, ask him a question. You're our only man on here. What do you want to know?
Yeah.
We got to get together.
I can't hear you. Speak up.
I can't hear him.
We got to get back. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yeah, we got to get back together and catch up.
Yeah, but I want to know if you have a question for Dale. Do you have any questions?
No question here. I'm good.
Okay. Let's see. I can ask a question. Let's see. Dale, let's see. How about tips for people that are struggling, that maybe are in they're not in momentum at the moment. They are kind of stalled out. Do you have any tips for anyone for those?
Yes, this is that is self-inflicted. I've been through that myself, and when I say that, it's either you've either pulled back in your belief or in your IPAs, income producing activities, or fill in the blank. Something has taken the place of your excitement and your growth and your momentum, and the only thing that will overcome that is activity. So my first suggestion is, if you've been somewhere and you're stuck and you can't get yourself to do your IPAs, get a hold of your upline. Sit down with them, do a Zoom call one-on-one or something, plug into them and tell them where you're at. Tell them what you're struggling with. And they will help you get that momentum back to where you can feel like you can go out and contact people. The easiest thing to do is to post every day. I told my team that last night. If you're not posting every day, you're missing out. And Facebook would tell us, that little pop-up thing says you have shared 100 and so many days in a row now. Because at convention, I sat down with Megan Moore, who just went diamond right after convention. And she told me, she said, Dale, you need to ride this wave of you being on stage. Mm-hmm. And so that's what I did. And, before that, I would post, and I might post 4 days in a row and miss a day, 2 days in a row and miss a day, 6 days in a row and miss a day. Or we might go out of town and I might miss a day or two on the weekend. But see, since convention, I haven't done that. I've posted every day, every day, every day, every day. I do a personal post, I do a motivational post, and I do a Plexus post. Okay, so every day I'm posting, and that right there will help you get unstuck. And then the first time somebody reaches out to you, and I will tell you this is another thing, that's one way to stay active, but it can also be frustrating, because I went 32 days, people, count them, 32 days, no new likes and no new comments from people that were not Plexus people. 32 days. You talk about being in a dry period, but that's not why I post. I post because I want to get that information out there.
They're watching.
I'm not posting to keep my momentum going. I'm posting because it's free advertising. And that's the way you have to look at it. But if you keep posting, eventually somebody's going to reach out to you. But that's one way you can get out of the rut. The other way is just decide, everybody has a friends list. If you don't have a friends list written down on a piece of paper, shame on you, because that is your business. Everybody has a friends list in Facebook. Just start at the top with the A's and pick the first 3 people and send them a message and say, hey, I'm expanding my Plexus business. Have you ever thought about being a part of it? That's a pretty simple way to start. So I just say activity overcomes the dry spell.
You're going to be a diamond someday. I can hear it. I love it. And I love the bold personality that you have. You just say it how it is. It's great. Sometimes we just need to be shaken a little bit, right, y'all?
Yes, we do. And I like I said, I'm kind of hard on the men because of the way, the lack of men in this business and the way they do things. But I'm with Tim Thomas. You will never hear me say that this is different for men. You'll never hear me say that, because men have the same needs and the same everything that the women do, but the women just talk about it more and they share more.
And if more men would get involved, my opinion is, if more men would get involved, more men would join, because they're looking at us going, it's a bunch of women.
Well, and I can tell when I'm doing an open opportunity meeting, or if I'm standing up there doing the open opportunity events that come to Indianapolis, I can tell, because I'm a man, how much more people take note. Does that make sense?
Yes, absolutely.
It's not because of me. It's because I'm a man. And my wife and I have talked about this. People will listen. You can have a woman and a man tell the same story about business, and they will believe the man more than they will the woman.
Well, I tell my husband, I've done 2 vendor events, and when I've done them, because I don't know if you know this, Dale, but I live in England, and so we can't share here unless you're American and you have your military spouse or whatever. You have an APO box. So I don't have the same abilities that everybody else has to. So just like you said, you have no excuses. I tell people no excuses. I cannot go to the grocery store and share to my friends and my neighbors because they don't sell it here. But we get 2 vendor events a year. And so I go to the base and do them, and I drag my husband with me. He's super supportive and loves this. But I drag him there because I tell him I can talk all day long, but the minute he speaks up, the whole room is quiet because they expect it from me. They do not expect it from him. So I would 100% agree with that. So get your men to post too. So just support me, honey. Honey, can I post on your Facebook today? As you.
And Dale, we did have one person ask another question. How do you reach out to somebody you don't know?
How do I talk to somebody I don't know? Well, I'm just going to do a little skit here. Okay. I'm going to do a skit that my wife and I play this game when we go out and eat. Okay. And we do it for our business, but we also do it to keep it light and fun.
Yeah.
If we go out to Chili's or Applebee's or someplace like that, if it's a guy, I get to contact him, waiter. If it's a waitress, then she gets to contact them. And we'll play this game. If we think the other one's dragging their feet, then the other one will jump in front and do them. So let's just say that it's a waiter and he walks up and his name's Fred. I say, hey, Fred, how you doing today? Okay. And I'll let them take their order, and I'll do something to make him laugh. You know, oh, Fred, you probably want to do this for the rest of your life, don't you? Well, all of them are going to laugh because nobody wants to be a waiter for the rest of their life. Yeah. So that'll be my opening. And then the next time he comes back and brings a refill or something, I'll say, so, hey, Fred, I said, are you working your way through college? You know, if he's college age, that seems to be a good opening. That's always worked. And then I just let him talk because he's going to tell you why he's doing this waiter job. Okay. And I use that as I say, hey, are you making all the money you can spend? Are you health conscious? Are you at all healthy? Do you care about your health at all? In conversation, I will get those 2 questions in there. And I let them talk, guys, because they're going to tell you all their health issues. He's going to tell you about, you know, the long nights of studying. If he's a college student, he's going to tell you how he doesn't have any energy, how he doesn't get enough sleep. All that will come out in this conversation. And as a waiter, he's going to tell you, and I'm going to have to get another job because I'm not making enough money in this job. So that I use that as my opening. And I always say, do you ever look at other ways to diversify or to expand your income capacity? That's how I approach it. I don't use this as do you want to start your own business? Because sometimes people can have a little bit of backward feeling about that. So that's how I say it. I say, do you ever look at other ways to diversify your income? If he says yes, I say, great. I'm expanding my business. I'm always looking for people that qualify for what I do. And I always use that word qualify because I don't want them to think that I want I don't want just anybody on my business. We want people. We want everybody, but not everybody's going to do it. I know that. Mm-hmm. So that's just one way that I approach them.
Gosh, those are powerful. I'm over here taking notes. I really like that. Diversify your income, expanding your business, and I'll see if you qualify. I really like that, Dale. But if we don't have to say to people, you know, and if I have done this, I just did this last week. I've got a niece that is very sharp, very mindful. I mean, she's done businesses before. I messaged her and I said, I want you on my team. But it's the different circumstance. I know her personally. You know, she knows me personally. She knows we're in Plexus. She knows what it does for people. Yes.
And I said, have you ever thought about doing Plexus? She said, actually, I have. But my approach was, I want you on my team because of who you are. Okay. Mm-hmm. So that's the different approach. And we got to know the people we're dealing with. If it's a cold contact, you know, you don't know that person. You don't know what kind of drive and determination determination and passion they have, they might be the next Celeste win. So, I always say, do you ever look at ways of diversifying your income?
Yes.
One of our struggles as a team is convenience orders. Do you have any tips?
Yes, I think everybody goes through that. We do not let it be an option for them not to have it on when we sign them up. And how do you do that? When we sign somebody up, we sign them up. We don't let them sign up on the other end of the computer. We let them try, and most times, you guys have probably been through this, most of the time, very few of them can get through it on their own. They always call you. So when they call me, I say, well, let me log in right here and let me see if I can do this right here. And I tell them up front, if you're not willing to do this for 60 or 90 days, you're wasting your time. You're wasting my time, you're wasting your time. If you only do this for a month and don't order other products, then you shouldn't be trying them, because it takes 60. That's why we have a 60-day money back guarantee, guys. And everybody if you nod your head a little bit like this when you're talking to people, what do they do back at you? They nod their head. So if you go, we really need to set this up, don't we? And you're nodding your head. That's just a little, I'm telling you guys, it works.
Yeah.
If you've seen any salespeople, go to a RV place, and the guy, when he's talking to you, he's shaking his head yes. You go to a car salesman, a furniture salesman. They all do that for a reason. They want you to get that head bottom yourself. So this is no different. But this convenience order is critical to their success.
Yes.
So when we sign people up, we don't even give them an option. We just tell them it has to be unconditional.
Okay, what about duplicating that with your team? We talk about this every team call till we're blue in the face, and it still happens on a regular basis. Not on a irregular basis, on a regular basis. When you see those come through on your downline report,
right,
how are you addressing them?
Well, like I said, just in the last 2 months, we've kind of turned that tide on our team. Up before then, we've had, people would try the products for a month and then they'd fall off the wayside. And if you don't give them something to lose in that time, either preferred customers or ambassadors, then they have no reason to keep ordering. But if you give them, like I said, it's just been something that I don't know what just clicked with us, but we just decided that we were going to take over. Telling them, first thing we do is I always tell the people up front before they sign up, are you willing to do this for 60 or 90 days? And if they say, well, I'd like to try it for a month. Well, if you're just going to try it for a month, I'm going to let you order retail. I'm not going to have to deal with all the other stuff. So that's something that we've done. And it just getting across to them that they need 60 to 90 days for their body to adjust. And I tell them, I say, look, if most people want to lose some weight, that's one of the big things right now. I just sponsored a guy that weighs 340 pounds, and he told me, he said, Dale, I just didn't get a promotion because of my size. It really hurt him personally, mentally. And I've been dealing with this guy. We've heard about, having to do follow-ups for 15 to 20 times. Guys, I've been dealing with this guy for 2 years. I just
signed somebody today after 23 months.
There you go. I did it. This has been 24 months for me. So 24 months later, this guy decides to get in. And I told him beforehand, I said, his name's Brent. I said, Brent, if you're not willing to do these products for 90 days, you're wasting your time. And he said, I'm going to do what you tell me because I've been watching everything and listening to all your posts. And he said, it's fantastic. He goes, blah, blah, blah. He went through the whole spiel. So, and I told him, and we also tell people, okay, when you do this, I want you to call me every 3 days. Or if you don't call me, I'm calling you. Because why? Because that little how to take the triplex, every 3 days they add a product. I want to know what they're experiencing after 3 days. I want to know what they're experiencing after 6 days. And we found that by doing that, they're more apt to keep that unconditional. But that's a hard one there because we went through the same thing. I can show you a lot of white lines that we are trying to get back on the product because of that very thing. I've had people join the business, get all excited, and only have great success. And because they didn't get their second order, they fell off the wayside.
So if
So-
they're not your level 1, if they're your 2 or your level 3, are you contacting their sponsor? Are you contacting them directly to help them get that turned on?
1, 2s, and 3s, I consider mine.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So if you're my level 1 and you're sponsoring somebody, I want to know that day if when they're signing them up, I always say, make sure you get that set to unconditional. Don't let them do it for fall off by the way. And so far, so good. You know, the last, I've got a guy getting ready to go gold who is doing that. And he's personally taken it upon himself because he's seen how powerful it is to get everybody on the products for longer than 30 days.
Yes.
So he picked right up on it.
That's
So
great.
that's, you know, it's there it is, and that's duplication. And, you know, I don't know about you guys, but back when we started, my wife and I thought, well, we would tell people, and this was the wrong thing to tell them. Well, you know, you don't have to have an automatic order. We thought that was doing them a favor. Well, it was actually doing them a disservice. So now I believe they should have it on. So I tell them up front, hey, look, you're going to do this for 90 days. So we're going to set this up in unconditional. At the end of 90 days, or at the end of 60 days, if you want your money back, all you got to do is get your money back.
I love
So
that.
that's worked. It's worked really well for us here lately.
We've got a couple
Yeah,
of
I think
questions on this.
That's
too.
what
Go ahead.
I think that's what our team needs to start doing is signing them up personally, getting the information, getting them on the phone, because we've noticed a huge increase in convenience orders when they're on the phone. You know, when you have them physically coaching them through that, but better yet, get that information and you enter it because we know the system like the back of our hands. The minute
Yeah.
it seems complicated or they run into an error, they're fearful of it. You know,
Right.
but if they're not seeing that, then it's just, you know, it's coming, it's automatically, then this is what we do. So,
You know, we have the best products in the world, guys. I'm going to tell one quick story here. We just sponsored a lady. She's a level 2 for me in Michigan. And she has IBS-D and IBS-C, which means, I don't know if you guys know what that is, but it's irritable bowel syndrome diarrhea, irritable bowel syndrome constipation. She had 5 to 6 episodes a day, every day of her life since the time she was 15. She's 55 years old now. Now think of that. 5 that they were so bad they had to take a little porta potty with them, even if they were driving 10 miles. Because when it hit her, he had to pull off the side of the road and she had to use a little porta potty. That's how bad it was. I can't imagine going through life like that. She gets on the products. We're sitting at dinner table a week ago Saturday night. Her name's June. And I said, June, so how you doing on the products? And she said, great. I said, she goes, but I'm not going to get excited yet. And I said, that's okay. I said, you know, your body's been through a lot over the years. I said, so how long has it? It's been, at the time, it'd been 2.5 weeks. And she said, I haven't had a IBS episode in 2.5 weeks. And I mean, I'm ready to come out of my chair. I'm so excited. But she was being reserved. And she said, Dale, she said, I've been through this before and I've had success for 7 or 8 days. And it always came back. And I looked at her and I said, but it's been 2.5 weeks. And she started to get excited. And she said, all I can tell you is I'm counting the days down. When I get to my 60th day, if I haven't had an episode, I got 10 people right now that want to get in. Because she has other people, you know, people that have similar health issues kind of gravitate to each other.
Mm-hmm.
And they try to help each other through things. And she's one of them. She's got 10 people that have IBS that are watching her. And here it is. Now it's been 5 weeks and she has had 0 episodes that she did have 5 to 6 episodes every day. So guys, that's phenomenal right there. But she's one of them that didn't want to have her unconditional setup. So there at that dinner that night, I said, well, June, I said, does it make sense to you since you've been doing this since you were 15 years old, now you're 50, that's 40 years. You've had this episode for 40 years. Wouldn't it make sense to change that to unconditional so that you could give this 90 days? Because she's just going to do it 30 days and stop. But because she had success and she didn't have any episodes for the first 30 days, she went ahead and she was in her 2nd month when I was talking to her, but it was still conditional. So sitting there that night, I talked her into saying, okay, she said, I want to go to unconditional because of what you just said. And I said, well, because you've done this for 40 years. And I said, now I'm excited. I said, you're not excited, I am. I said, because you haven't had an episode now for over a month. I said, but I don't, I said, I understand your reservations. I understand that because you've, been going through this for 40 years. I said, but give it at least 90 days. And I told her, I said, you might have an episode. Your body, that might be one way your body gets rid of some die off. I said, but don't throw in the towel because you have one episode after having 5 or 6 a day for 40 years.
Yes.
So that's just one example of how I got her to change hers to unconditional.
I love it. Ugh, gives me chills. We do have the best products in the world.
Yes.
We do. Okay.
And I am the best community because, as you guys have probably picked up, Dale's not on our team. He's on a different team. He took his time this morning with his busy schedule, working those 60 to 80 hours a week to speak with us because of a reach out, and really we're friends now, but we were strangers,
Right.
So how powerful is that? So Dale, thank you for everything. I'm in cold chills and I am inspired. I think you're bold and confident with it. And I think that's what we all need to be, because when they hear the boldness and the confidence in our voice, then they know we're steering them in the right direction. So
That's true.
Yeah. I'm going to let you jump off of here, but I have 2 questions that were in the chat that I wanted to let them get to. Somebody asked, do you struggle getting your team on training Zoom calls?
On Zoom calls?
Yeah.
Yes. We had a Zoom call last night, and let's see, I'm trying to think the number right now. We have 100. My wife and I have like 150, give or take. I don't know the exact number now. We've had a real big explosion here lately, so we've been putting a lot of people in here lately. So we've got, let's just say it's 150. That may not be the exact number. And last night we had 7 people on our Zoom call.
Okay. So Tammy, you're not alone.
Right.
This call is a little different because this is a weird hour for most people, but it's the only time I can get on. But
this is great for me today.
Yeah. It's 4:15 in the afternoon for me now, but it was, but it's like 9:30 in the morning for everybody else. So, okay. How do you help people that just do not have the money to start?
If they don't have the money to start, this is just me, I'll pay their $34.95 to get them started.
Do you find that is successful?
It's worked both ways, and there again, I qualify what I call qualifying. And I always give them, if I'm going to do that for somebody, I want to know what they want to do with this. I mean, if there's something that they're just going to try, then I won't do that. But if I see that they have that drive and passion, and if I know their why and they're going after their why, then I feel confident that if I do that for them, it'll pay off in the long run. And I don't buy their products for them. I tell them, you're going to have to figure out a way. And I show them, most people that struggle financially spend enough money elsewhere to buy their products.
Yeah.
And what I do with people is I sit down with them and I say, okay, how many pops do you drink a day? How many Red Bulls? How many Monsters? Do you smoke cigarettes? Do you drink alcohol? If you smoke cigarettes and drink alcohol with me, right away you can throw that out the door because you're spending more on that than you will the product. So
they still have to want to prioritize it. You're going to look at those people.
Exactly right. And if they're willing to sit down with me for me to show them that, then that's a win-win situation.
Yes.
Because all I need is less than $4 a day.
If they're not I think you asked us, if they're not willing to sit down with you, if they're not willing to give up some of their luxury items, they're not ready. And they will be at some point when they're really ready. Sometimes it's about timing. I mean, and I tell people, I don't let that be an excuse because we live on military income. We were at poverty level income. I could barely afford my diapers and my groceries in my fridge. And we figured it out for 2 people to start our product at the same time, and we just decided we were gonna put our health first because we were desperate. And And then I decided, you know what, it's not fair. I'm sitting at home just being a mom. I've got to help my husband cover these products. And so I started talking to people. So it's not, but it has to be a priority, or not only is it not going to help them, but they're not going to stick with it. So then you just thrown your money away on somebody that you could have given to somebody that really needed it.
And where I see a lot of people on my team doing the same thing is you can spend a lot of time on that right there when you can really be going out and building your business elsewhere. Because you think in your mind you're trying to build that, but really you're not. That's just a maintain, get over, help get going type thing. And don't get hung up in the, that's where they say, they call it the stuff. We got to deal with stuff in this business. That's some of the stuff that we need to learn to address, make it available to them. But like you said, you don't want to spend all your time with dealing with that kind of stuff. And look what it's working out. Did you say you're a senior, Ruby? Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So look at what it's worth to you today, because you guys made that priority.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It's changed everything for us. It's why I'm so passionate about this business.
Sure. And did you see that the new Lexus program? Did you see that? Have you seen that?
Yes, I'm so excited. Yes. We're this close. Yes, right. We're excited. And I'm very excited they're going back to the Grand Wailea. I don't know how you said it, because I wanted to go so bad, and when I missed it in July this year, I was really sad because I didn't know where they would have it next, but I'm super excited it's going to be at the same resort because it looks absolutely incredible. But my experience with that $34.95, Val, has not been good. I have done it where I have said, if somebody says, I really, really want this, I really want to do it, I just don't have the money, then if they can come up with the 99, then we've talked about the $34.95, or I've said the next 3 people that place an order, I'll reimburse the $34.95. And every once in a while that works. But the people that tell me they flat out don't have the money, what I usually tell them to do is to start posting on Facebook. Post on Facebook, show me how bad you want it, get somebody to join with you so that we can help you get your products paid for, and then I'll pay your $34.95. I've done that probably 5 times. Guess how many people have actually tried it?
0.
It showed me right then and there that they don't really want it. And so you do have to qualify, and you do have to know who you're dealing with. And but I would say don't judge a book by its cover, because I know people that I didn't think would ever be successful in this company that have skyrocketed. So just be careful, because some of us are so caring and so giving and so loving. I can't tell you how many times I've paid $34.95 for somebody because my sponsor paid my $34.95 when I joined. And it's the reason I joined, because I'm a frugal mama. Not the only reason, but it was the reason that I chose Ambassador over Preferred, because I'm cheap and frugal, and there was a special. And I like sales. And so she paid me $34.95, and I was like, all right, well, might as well do it. And then I felt indebted to her. Okay. So that was I wanted to, but she said to me, and this is why I tell you guys with the convenience orders, she said, in order for me to pay your $34.95, I need a 90-day commitment.
There you go.
Okay. And that was 2 years ago, before they got rid of the convenience orders. I was like, all right, I can do that. I can do anything for 90 days, right? We have to stop being afraid of asking for that commitment.
Yes.
Because if you are afraid of that, you're just shooting yourself in the foot. They're just going to come on and fall off, and then you've done all this work and made all this effort for nothing.
That's right.
Yeah, and it's learning not to waste your time. Prioritizing, scrolling on Facebook is not IPA. It needs to be messaging people, meeting people in person. And getting to know people, because people love to talk about themselves. So when we're asking questions, they're going to give answers, and when we start to know a little bit more about them, they're going to trust us. And that's what this business is. It's relationship building. So,
Yes.
Well, thank you so much, Dale. I really, really appreciate you. Will you be in Orlando? Will you be at Leaders Retreat?
No, we just missed that. So
Okay.
wish I was. but
Next
we didn't
year.
make it.
Next year. Well, we'll see you at convention. I'm sure some of you will. Brittany, you might see me at Super Saturday. That's too far for me to travel for one day. But all right, you guys, you have a really blessed week. Thank you so much, and we'll get this to you as soon as I get it uploaded. Thanks,
Right.
Okay.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks.
Have a good. Bye-bye.
Bye.